What's up, everybody? JVille Sports here with my sports picks video. It is Friday night, October the 23rd. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight and each and every time I release a video. This is my college football edition. Tomorrow is college football Saturday once again. We welcome the Big Ten into the mix. Thank God another team, another conference I should say, is back into the mix. We're still missing the Pac-12. I think that's really the main conference we're missing. The Mountain West also comes into the mix as well. We got a bunch of new teams. This is week 7 or 8, and we're getting teams that are playing their first game. It's just a crazy season, but more football is definitely what we want. More teams in the mix is what we want. So for those of you that are new to the channel, welcome. Thank you for being here. What I like to do with college football is I like to do what's called a long shot parlay. This is my fun way of giving you guys out a bunch of different plays that I'm looking at, that I'm leaning towards, that I like. They're not my best plays. I save those for those who are a part of the village, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But I have a bunch of other plays that I don't give out that I like I said, that I'm leaning towards. So I put all of those extra plays into what I call a long shot parlay. And it's a parlay where the payout is $5,000 or more. On a usual year, in a typical year, it's $10,000 or more, but this year cutting it down to $5,000 because there's not as many games. A lot of games being postponed, canceled. Like I said, a lot of teams now playing their first game, so it's just a crazy year. So that's the change that I made this year. But like I said, it's just a fun way for me to give out a bunch of different plays that I'm looking at. We're doing very well this year. We haven't actually hit the long shot parlay yet, but that's really not the intent. The intent is to give you guys a bunch of different winners, which I am doing, which I will continue to do. So that's what I do with college football. So we'll go ahead and recap what we did last week with our long shot parlay, get into this week's, and then we'll have a free play straight bet towards the end of the video as well. So let's go ahead and jump right into the action. So here's what we did last week. We had Temple in the first half -7. They actually jumped out to a quick start. But then they let South Florida into that game. Just poor defense by Temple. They were actually losing at halftime after they jumped out ahead in the first quarter. So that one was a loss. We had West Virginia -21. This one should have came through. West Virginia gave up a kickoff touchdown, return for a touchdown with like a minute and some change left in that game. They were up by 28. So that one ended in a push. That was unfortunate, but of course, we'll take a push over a loss any day. We had Army UTSA under. That one came through. We had North Carolina State -4. That one came through. We had A&M Mississippi State over. Mississippi State just continues to struggle offensively. That one stayed under the total. We had Alabama. Huge game of the week last week against Georgia. We had Alabama. That one came through for us. We had Clemson in the first half. That one was Clemson scored over 70 points against Georgia Tech. That one was a no-brainer there. Notre Dame, I don't know what they were doing last week. They did come away with the win, but not impressive at all for a top 5 team. North Carolina, massive upset. They lost to Florida State. Huge upset there. So that was our only money line loss, and then we had 2 straight bet losses for a total of 5 and 3 for the week. So a lot of good winners on there. And then we had that one push on there. So should have been better, but we'll definitely take the 5 and 3. And we'll go ahead and move on to this week. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So this is attempt number 7. Again, I recommend plucking out your favorites, doing smaller parlays. But if you want to get crazy with me, I do put these in, which I'll show you my actual ticket at the end. But it's completely up to you. It's just like I said, this is my way to give you guys a bunch of different plays. And whatever you do with the plays is up to you. But let's go ahead and jump into this week's action. Starting with Ohio State, we're going to jump right off into the Big Ten. And we're going with Ohio State to cover. It's a huge spread, 26.5. They're playing a decent team, typically, historically, in Nebraska. But Ohio State, in my opinion, is just far and away the best team in the Big Ten. Compared to Nebraska, the talent there's just a huge gap in talent. And so my thinking coming into this year with Ohio State, we'll see how it plays out. We'll know kind of early in the season there's just not as many games this year in the Big Ten. They're playing less games than some of the other major conferences. So what that's going to do is that's going to hurt their chances when it comes to picking a team for the playoffs, because they're not going to have as many games, as many big games. So what they were talking about is one of the factors is going to be the eye test. Yes, you played a shortened season, but how did you look in those games? And that's what they're going to use to kind of gauge whether a Big Ten team, even a Pac-12 team who's playing less games in the Big Ten, how are these teams looking? Like the Pac-12, I believe, is only playing 6 or 7 games. So not only do they have to go undefeated in order to get into the playoffs, but you have to look good doing it. So that's why I think Ohio, because I was going back and forth with Ohio State. Should I take them in the full game or should I take them in the first half? I like both plays, but the reason why I'm going with the full game is because I think Ohio State, in all of their games, they are not going to let off the gas. I think Ohio State gets up early, they get up big, and they keep going because they are going to have to blow teams out. And I think that's going to be their approach going into every game, knowing that they want to blow them out and they have the talent to do so. Like I said, I think they're the best team in the Big Ten. On paper, they're just loaded with talent. You got to love Fields, the quarterback. You got to love the coach. As a whole, this Ohio State team, offensively, defensively, they're just solid. So yes, this is a 26.5 point spread, but they are at home. It's a huge spread, but I think Ohio State gets up big early. And like I said, I think they just keep pounding it, and I think they end up blowing Nebraska out by at least 4 touchdowns. So I'm going Ohio State minus 26.5. Next, we're going to go with Oklahoma TCU over 59. So both of these teams here have had an extra week to prepare for this game. 3 of Oklahoma's 4 games have gone over the total, and the only reason the other game, which was their first game of the season, didn't go over the total was because they let their foot off the gas. They won that game 48-0. They obviously took out their starters late in that game, and they just had no reason to score any more points. Otherwise, they would have went over that total as well. But there'll be a lot of possessions in this game for both teams. Oklahoma plays, a fast-paced, high-tempo offense. That'll give TCU some extra possessions here that they normally wouldn't get in other games. 2 of TCU's 4 games have gone over this total of 59. The 2 games that did not were against 2 of the slowest teams in the Big 12. So I think TCU here can keep up the pace with Oklahoma, especially being at home, and that will push this game over the total. Next, we are going with an under in the Big 12, which typically you do not want to do. Under in the Big 12 is not where you want to look. But in this one, we're going with Kansas State under 46. It is a low total. We lost a little bit of value here, but Kansas is one of the worst teams in all of football. This is a rivalry game, obviously, between Kansas and Kansas State, so I think that will up the intensity here. Kansas is definitely going to want to try to win this game on the road. So I think their defense, most importantly, will show up. Their defense is horrific, though. But what will help that defense a little bit is Kansas State lost their starting quarterback. So they're going to be breaking in a new quarterback. He played a little bit last week. He's a freshman. So I think that will slow. Kansas State is already a slower offensive type of team. And I think this will slow them down a little bit more. So that will help out Kansas's bad defense. And offensively for Kansas, they only average 15 points a game. This offense is terrible. Kansas State has a good defense, and at home, I believe they will shut down Kansas. I think this is a high-intensity game. Both defenses are definitely going to want to show up here. That's why I think this game is going to go towards the under. And like I said, it helps that Kansas State lost their quarterback, so maybe they rely more heavily on the running game, which will keep that clock moving. And like I said, I don't think Kansas here is going to score a ton of points. So I like this game to stay under 46. Next, we are going with Alabama minus 21. Another big spread here. So this is a tricky game for Alabama. I mentioned it a little bit before. We were on Alabama last week. We're going to be on them this week here. So the reason why this is a tricky game is because they are coming off a huge monster win against a top 5 team. Typically, when a team has a huge victory, they kind of have a letdown the next week. But Alabama, they've been here. They've done that. They have huge wins every single year. Nick Saban knows how to keep this team grounded. And I think it actually helps being on the road. They're going to be completely focused here. And like I mentioned, every game this year matters. Alabama cannot afford to slip up here. There was high hopes for this Tennessee team. They started off the season ranked, but this team is just not very good. It might be close early, but Alabama will do the same as Georgia. I believe Tennessee was beating Georgia at halftime, and then Georgia just completely blew them out in the second half. The same thing could happen here. Alabama could get off to a slow start here, but this offense is just too good. Alabama will crush Tennessee when it's all said and done. Next, we are going with a super high total. We're going with Virginia Tech and Wake Forest over 68. So like I said, this is a high total, but rightfully so. Both of these teams are averaging over 40 points a game. It's actually very impressive for Virginia Tech because they are doing this on the ground. They're averaging over 300 yards on the ground. But they can air it out when they need to as well. Wake Forest, they do most of their damage through the air. Neither of these teams have a great defense. Both of these teams, like I said, are clicking on all cylinders when it comes to their offense. Wake Forest at home should be hungry. Whenever you have a ranked team coming into your building, you know you're going to get maximum effort from Wake Forest. So for me, this has all the makings of a shootout. So I like over 68. Next, we're going to go with an under. We have Michigan, Minnesota. What a huge game here in the Big Ten. Like I mentioned before, every game is a big game, but this one in particular, you have two ranked teams, two teams that if they run the table, they can throw their name into the hat for the playoffs. So this is actually going to be a playoff elimination game in week 1 for these teams. So it's just crazy. Obviously, you don't typically have this in a normal season, so it's a tough position for these teams, and then a lot of pressure as well. Both these teams have a solid defense. Michigan, they have an elite defense almost every single year. Their struggles typically comes on the offensive side of the ball, and again, they're breaking in a new quarterback this year. He's a sophomore, so I think he's going to get off to, I think the offense as a whole will get off to a slower start. Obviously, we don't know how these teams were able to prepare in the offseason, but Michigan has 2 stud running backs, so I think they're going to rely on the running game here, and that's going to definitely help them on the road. Use that running game, take care of the football, eat up the clock, keep Minnesota's offense on the sideline. I think that's what's going to be the game plan here. Minnesota, they bring back their quarterback from last year, experienced quarterback. I really like this Minnesota team. They did lose some pieces, but I love their coach. I like this team. I think this is a sleeper team in the Big Ten. I think it's a kind of a slap in the face that they're underdogs at home based on the season that they had last year. But it is what it is. They are underdogs. I think they will be hungry in this game. Like I said, both these teams have a solid defense. I think they're going to be a little bit careful here. This is a huge game. You don't want to make mistakes. And like I said, I think Michigan will rely on that running game. And I think this game just has the makings of an under. I think this is going to be a physical, lower scoring type of game. So I'm going Michigan, Minnesota under the 54. And then to round out the parlay, we have 3 easy, in my opinion, money lines. We have North Carolina. I mentioned them before. Huge upset last week, lost to Florida State. They're back home now going up against NC State, in-state rivalry type of game. NC State lost their quarterback. You're going to have a pissed off North Carolina team at home. I see no reason why they will lose this game. UCF, another pissed off team. They are coming off 2 straight losses. Not typical for a UCF team, but they are now back at home. I expect them to crush Tulane. And then we have Boise State. They are playing their first game. Boise State looks like they are going to be the class of the Mountain West once again. They welcome in Utah State. Utah State lost their quarterback, Jordan Love, who is now on the Green Bay Packers. Huge loss. I think Utah State gets off to a slow start this year, breaking in a new quarterback. Love Boise State at home to get an easy victory. So I love those 3 money lines. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spreads for you guys. So hopefully we continue. You can see our record 33-17, 66%. My goal is to stay above 60% with our long shot plays. But like I said, if you're looking for my best plays of the week, you have to be a part of the village to receive those. And if you are interested, JVilleSportsPicks.com. This is the website. This is what it looks like. You can see in the upper right hand corner the big blue button to join the village. Hit that button, it will take you to a page which lists all the different packages that are available. See which one suits you the best. You can use promo code football for 10% off any package. The packages are already super cheap, but I want to make them even cheaper for you. I'm about building your bankroll, not taking from it. Give my picks a try for 30 days. See how you like it. If I have a losing record during those 30 days, guess what? I will give you your money back, or you can have another month free. It's up to you. This is a great time to join. We're right in the middle of college football. Like I said, we now have the Big Ten, the Mountain West into the mix next week. We welcome in the Pac-12. We will then be fully loaded in college football with all teams in the mix. We're also right in the middle of the NFL, having a great NFL season. So now is the perfect time to join. Go to JVilleSportsPicks.com, sign up to be a part of the village, and start winning with us today. That is the website. That's how to get there. If you have any questions about the website, you can email me at chat@JVilleSportsPicks.com. Again, chat@JVilleSportsPicks.com. That information is, along with my different social media pages, are all down below in the description of this video. When you don't see me on here making a video, I do post on the different social media sites, so check those out. I get free plays out on there as well. Check out the Discord channel. We have a growing community on there, posting plays every single day, talking with each other, helping each other out. That's what it's all about. It's about growing a community, a winning community, helping each other out. It's all about winning together. So that's what we're about in the village. So all that information is down below in the description of this video. While you're down there, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you know when new videos pop out. You never know when a new video will come out. That's the website. That is all the other information and good stuff. Let's go ahead and move on to today's free play of the day, and it is one of the games that I mentioned on the long shot parlay, but it's not the same play that I had in the parlay. It's going to be between the Michigan Wolverines and the Minnesota Gophers, and I kind of already mentioned what side I like. It is the Minnesota Gophers at home. We are taking them +3. Like I said, it's kind of a slap in the face that they're underdogs at home. At the very least, I think this game should be a pick'em. Like I said, Michigan brings in a new quarterback, but he's a highly rated quarterback. He has all the makings to be a great one. But again, having to start your season on the road is going to be very, very difficult. I think Michigan's going to rely more on the running game, and Minnesota will be ready for it. I love their offense led by Tanner Morgan. He had a great season last year. I think he will have another great season this year. I think Minnesota, they'll have some tips and tricks. The only negative for Minnesota is that they won't have a crowd. So being at home is not a huge factor as it normally would, because this crowd would have been roaring for this game. So that is definitely unfortunate. So that will definitely help out Michigan. It's not as big of a blow for them being on the road, which is why I think Michigan is favored on the road in normal circumstances. Like I said, I think this would be a pick'em type of game. But still, when it's all said and done, I like Minnesota here to pull off the upset at home. I kind of talked about this game already, so I won't make this too long of a video. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. So we're going to cheer on the Minnesota Gophers at home +3. We're getting points at home. We're going to cheer on Minnesota to win this game. We're going to cheer on the under along with all of the other plays we had in the long shot parlay. Let's go ahead and hit this long shot and clean up on Saturday. So that is going to wrap it up for my college football edition. Again, thank you guys for joining me. Stay tuned for my NFL video, which will be coming out here shortly. Big Saturday. Good luck with whatever plays you guys do decide to put in. I hope you guys kill it out there. And don't forget to check out JVilleSportsPicks.com for all of the information about the village and start winning with us today. Hey, good luck, and I'll see you guys soon.